This is TOS Television, your digital first Pan-African news network. You're watching Business Report Africa. I am Ruo Penawo. We begin in Nigeria, where Dr. Adeshola Adedunton, the Chief Executive Officer of First Bank of Nigeria, Limited, and subsidiaries, said the bank gave 58 billion naira worth of loans to 81,000 female entrepreneurs and professionals in 1 year in support of women in business. While speaking at a virtual conference, he said nearly 25,000 female agents represent 28% of the agents in the network. Mrs. Ibukun Awushika, chairman of First Bank Nigeria, said women, although disadvantaged, are equally smart, and they would also need to understand government policies to succeed. On Wednesday, April 21, the International Air Transport Association, IATA, revises airline economic performance forecast for the year 2021. As against a projected sum of $38 billion in December, net post-tax losses forecast stand as $47.7 billion in 2021. IATA noted that financial performance will be worse and more varied this year than what is expected in their December forecast because of the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, while large airlines have raised sufficient cash to cover this, smaller airlines will need government aid. Market capitalization has been pushed by 59 billion naira to close at 20.5 trillion naira, and the local bourse extended gains for the third consecutive trading session. Trading activity declined, and the most traded stocks by volume were Access with 28.2 million units, Fidelity with 17.2 million units, and M-Benefit with 16.8 million units. Expert analysts have said investors should expect the markets to sustain its positive momentum. Now, among other sectors, Rwanda's economy is dependent on tourism, farming, and the exportation of tea and coffee, as well. Yet the country hopes to reach a status of high-income country by 2015. The plan is to engage in a series of 7-year national strategies for transformation. One thing that is dragging the country behind its huge spending on drug importation, which amounts to $97.6 million a year, even as increments are expected. To place things in order, Rwanda must empower the industrial sector while placing pharmacy at a point where it plays a key role in both industrial and health sector by promoting homemade drugs and medical tools, creating pharmaceutical higher learning institutions, and enhancing community contributions of pharmacies, amongst other things. Now, even as Egypt and the Suez Canal Authority have suffered economic damage from the Ever Given incident, Egypt and the Canal Authority have confiscated the ship and demanded a $1 billion compensation from its owner. The Suez Canal is known as the foundation of world trade, and the incident has demonstrated the fragility of global trade flows. One might even say the pandemic has exposed the weaknesses of even greater interdependence and the importance of resilient supply chains. This is your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television, and you're watching Business Report. There's more to watch after the break. Do stay tuned. Still in Egypt, the first 2 months of 2021 saw Egypt's exports of pig iron and steel rise by 62%, leading to a record of $187 million. The country exported iron and steel to 49 countries in January and February. And now in South Africa, U.S. retail giant Amazon has announced that its headquarters in Africa will be located in Cape Town. Founded by Amazon's boss, Jeff Bezos, Amazon would occupy a section of a 4 billion rand real estate development in River Club, a prime area in Cape Town. Dan Platter, mayor of the city, said the development will include both market-driven and affordable housing opportunities. And while over 5,000 jobs will be created in the construction phase alone, the South African headquarters would create up to 19,000 jobs. According to reports in Kenya, total revenue collected at the end of March 2021 amounted to 1.9 trillion Kenyan shillings. This underperformance was expected as a result of the effects of the pandemic on the economy. The National Treasury failed to meet the revenue target for March 2021, and tax revenues amounted to 1 trillion Kenyan shillings, which is equivalent to 70.6% of the target of 1.5 trillion Kenyan shillings. Investors note that the recent reversal of the tax incentive introduced earlier in 2020 will help improve tax revenue. In 2020, the Namibian Central Intelligence Service overspent its operational budget by at least 244 million Namibian dollars. 246 million Namibian dollars was allocated to the NTIS, who spent over 444 million Namibian dollars. Parliamentarians have called on authorities to reform the intelligence agency and have asked for details on how taxpayers' money is being used. More than 3,000 tourist guides affected by the COVID-19-induced economic crisis have benefited from financial aid in Morocco. The country's tourism minister, Nadia Feta Al-Aloui, said the financial assistance is part of the country's special fund for management and response to COVID-19, which was introduced to curtail the economic fallout of the COVID-19 crisis. The tourism sector, being one of the hardest hit sectors by COVID-19 crisis, did not get any breather till June 2020, when Morocco eased the restrictions allowing businesses to reopen. And then in February, the Directorate of Studies and Financial Projections announced that Morocco's tourism revenue declined by 53.8% in 2020, after an increase of 7.8% in 2019. You're still watching Business Report Africa on your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. Do stay tuned, there's more after the break. Thank you for staying with us. We continue in Morocco. Morocco's speedy economic recovery depends on the successful completion of the vaccination operation against COVID-19. Roberto Carderelli, mission chief for Morocco of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, said Morocco has shown agility in the procurement and distribution of vaccines to its population, thus setting an example at the global level in terms of immunization. So far, signs of recovery are visible in the rebound of exports and in the industrial sector, as both created about 80,000 jobs in the fourth quarter of 2020. Underlining the major economic reforms in Morocco, Pelin Bradman, chief of IMF's Regional Analytics and Strategy Division, stressed that recovery paths depend on the speed of vaccination and structural differences. Nena Wabufo, East Africa's Director General for the African Development Bank, is optimistic that Ethiopia's economic reforms can continue despite the impacts of conflict in Tigray. Reports have it that the government is putting in place measures to promote private sector participation in finance, telecommunications, and manufacturing, amongst others. These reform measures are keen on promoting the efficiency of public services while unleashing the potential of the private sector and its contribution to the economy. Ethiopia's Ministry of Trade and Industry issued a timely regulation recently, which allowed companies to import basic food items like rice, flour, and other food items duty-free. Now, in the past 2 years, the Ethiopian government has issued heavy austerity measures that helped make the national economy stay on track. To reduce the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, basic food items have been allowed to enter the country duty-free. According to the Ministry of Trade and Industry Communication Affairs Director, Mr. Wondimu Flati, the cost of most essential food items have toned down in the market. And now pertaining to the CBN exchange rate, dollar to naira has a buying rate of 379 naira and a selling price of 380 naira. Pounds to naira has a buying rate of 521 naira and a selling price of 522 naira. Euro to naira has a buying rate of 453 naira and a selling price of 454 naira. And finally, the South African rand has a buying rate of 26 naira and a selling price of 26 naira. And that's all we have on Business Report Africa. Remember to follow us on all our social media handles at TOS TV Network on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at TOS TV Network. I am Ruwa Panawo. Thank you for watching.